Hi, welcome back to Pages and Projects with Liz. And today I'm doing something a little different and I am setting a TBR for the month of February. I don't typically set a monthly TBR. I will do some open-ended goals, or like last year I had a stack of books that I wanted to read before the end of the year. But I don't typically set out like these are the 5 or 6 books that I want to make sure that I'm reading within a particular month. So I thought I would give that a try this month, see if that helps with some of the decision fatigue, and also to help keep me on track with some of my reading goals this year. So this is the stack of books that at minimum I am hoping to read in the month of February. So the first 2 books I have are going to be for reading challenges. This year I wanted to try to do a couple of reading challenges. Originally I set a goal for 2 reading challenges, but I decided that I'm going to do both of the Books with Lala reading challenges, so the Buzzword reading challenge and the Buzzword cover challenge. But I do still want to do another reading challenge at some point later on in this year. So even though my original goal was to just do 2 reading challenges, I'm hoping to hit up more than that this year. For the reading challenges, I decided that I can read ahead. So if there's a book I read in January and it happens to be for an October prompt, that's fine. I can go ahead and mark that off, but I have to at least hit the prompts for that particular month. So for the month of February, the buzzword one is to have a keyboard key title. So something with space, back, escape, shift, start, delete, right? And so the book that I am going to read for that particular challenge is The Escape Room by Megan Golden. So this book talks about some employees who are invited to participate in an escape room challenge as a team building exercise, but they're caught in a dangerous game of survival while doing that. So sounds like it will be a really interesting book, and then it also has that escape part of the title. So the other reading challenge then for the month of February for the Buzzword Cover Challenge is a cover featuring a silhouette. So all of these are something that has to be on the cover of a book. I had a couple of different silhouettes that I was trying to decide between, and I decided to pick up Chaos at the Lazy Bones Bookshop by Emmeline Duncan. So it's got silhouettes of the building and Bat and the pumpkins. So thought that that would be fun, even if it's not really seasonal. I don't tend to be typically the most seasonal person with my reading. So really fun, couple of different silhouettes in a book that I'm excited to read. For this one, only downside is that it does say it is first in a new series, and I have been trying to get caught up with my series, so starting another one. But it is sounding like kind of a cozy mystery. There's someone who lives in a year-round Halloween-themed town, and she has taken over her grandfather's bookshop, the Lazy Bones Books, and accidentally discovers the town's secret dark side. So should be kind of an interesting read, and at least will get me my cover requirement for the month of February. Next up, I have books that are going to help me with some of my year-long reading challenges. So I had a couple of goals that I have already met this month by focusing on them, and so I just want to keep up that momentum. So one is to read a book that is set in a particular season in that season, and I thought it might be kind of fun to do some of my Agatha Christie books for that. So I have the collection of all 4 seasonal books, and while originally when I set that yearly goal, it was just going to be for any kind of book that was based in the winter, reading it in the winter. But I thought it might be kind of nice to go through and read this collection. So for the winter, I am reading Midwinter Murder. So it's deadly snowdrifts and dangerous gifts, poison meals, and mysterious guests. This new compendium of seasonal short stories feature some of Agatha Christie's most famous detectives. It is perfect for reading in front of a crackling fire when the days are growing shorter, there's a chill in the air, and murder is never far away. So, really excited to do this, and then hopefully I'll read the other seasonal books again in those particular seasons and get my reading goal checked off that way with this series. The other goal I have is to read more nonfiction books. So I have a lot of nonfiction books. I tend to read bits and pieces of nonfiction books for work. And that was another goal, is to fully read a book related to work or just something else that I want to do for learning. So I'm kind of combining both of those with this particular book. And this book is If Anyone Builds It, Everyone Dies, Why Superhuman AI Would Kill Us All. And I think this is really interesting. I teach some classes about AI. I'm in a couple of different projects that are utilizing generative AI for education and other areas. And part of what I teach in my classes is about ethics. And so while I've been reading a lot of books that are a bit more pro AI and a lot of the benefits and changes to the job market and so on, I thought it would be interesting to read some books that have different takes. And again, read them fully. So not just pick and choose some different chapters that might fit with what I'm teaching to bring into the class, but go ahead and read this entire book cover to cover. So hopefully it'll be an interesting take. I've found a lot of AI books that they've been kind of hit or miss for me. Some of them just have been written where they're clearly aimed for a different audience than where I'm at with my background and work with AI. But this should be an interesting book to read and hopefully check back to see what my thoughts were with that particular one. The next 2 books I have, I thought would be really appropriate to February. I have a few romance books on Kindle, but I don't have too many physical books. And so these next 2 books are going to help with some other reading goals that I have, as well as just, reading romance books in February, as cheesy and cliche as that is. So these are 2 Book of the Month books. One is a book that I received in a previous year, and one is a book that I picked out this year. So one of my reading goals for the year is to read some of my backlist book subscription box books, because I have a lot that I come in and I just fell behind and didn't read them. And then another goal I have for this year is to read 50% of the book subscription box books that come in. So in order to do that, I really need to start strong early in the year with getting through some of these. So the book that is a backlist book that I've selected is An Academic Affair. So this one is about academic rivals who are on the job market, and a teaching position comes up that has a partner hire. So they get married to be able to get those positions, and sounds like they're actually going to fall for each other. So I thought this would be kind of a cute book to read for this month. The other book I have and this is the one that I got this year, is Most Eligible. And this one sounded like a different take. So for this, the main character is going on a hit reality dating show to write an expose on the producers in order to get kind of, progress in her journalism job dreams. And with this, the season's host happens to be someone that she has had a one-night stand with. And so, again, kind of, is she still faking the romance for the cameras and for the article, or is she going to get with the male? So, again, thought this would be a fun book and helps me accomplish my goals. And then the last book that I'm going to set is going to be a series book. So I have a couple of other goals, including reading 12 Kindle Unlimited books. But I don't really want to pick those and nail it down right now. I want some flexibility to mood read, especially since I'm newer at setting a TBR. So I thought setting 7 specific books would be plenty for me, and then who knows where I'll go from there. But I wanted to select a book in a series. So another reading goal was to catch up or finish a series. I've actually already hit the number of series that I wanted to catch up with or finish this year. So I don't need to continue on with that. But having made the series list, I have a lot more series than I realized. So when I set the goal, it was just to catch up or complete 3. But then when I wrote out all my series, I realized that I owned or had started 41. And then since then, I've realized that I have more, or like the Lazy Bones bookshop book being another series that wasn't even on my list. So I do want to keep trying to make progress with my series. I also had a reading goal to try something fun and use some kind of random selection option to pick some of my books. So all of these other books I selected, even if they had to deal with a particular prompt, I still got to pick which silhouette book I chose, for example. So I made a spinner wheel of all of the series, again, that I have started or own a book in. And I thought it would be fun to use the spinner wheel to select my last book and pick one of the series. So and the series is the Brown Sisters. So I feel like, again, very fitting for the month of February. Let me check that one. So for that series, I am on the very first book, Get a Life, Chloe Brown. This is a series that I have all 3 books of on the Kindle. And so this is it. Chloe Brown is a chronically ill computer geek with a goal, a plan, and a list, and almost but not quite dying. She's come up with 6 directives to help her get a life. She's already completed the first, finally moving out of her glamorous family's mansion. The next items: enjoy a drunken night out, ride a motorcycle, go camping, have meaningless but thoroughly enjoyable sex, travel the world with nothing but hand luggage, and do something bad. But it's not easy being bad, even when you've written step-by-step guidelines on how to do it correctly. What Chloe needs is a teacher, and she knows just the man for the job. So I've heard a lot of good things about this series, and again, seems very fitting that the spinner wheel would pick a romance book for this month. Benefit is that this will also help get a book off of my Kindle TBR. So really interesting selection of books this month. I've got 3 that are more on the horror mystery kind of setup. I have 3 romances. I don't tend to read a lot of romance books, so it is interesting having these 2 plus the Brown Sisters book, and then my nonfiction pack. If you've set up a TBR for the month of February, I'd love to know what books you selected, as well as if there's a method that you really like to select your TBR. I've seen all sorts of really interesting ways that people have created a TBR, but I thought that this would be a nice way to get into it where it wasn't all random selections. I don't know how much I would love doing that, but maybe for 1 month I'll give that a try where I'll just select several books that are randomly packed. If you like doing TBRs or don't like doing TBRs, I'd love to know why you go that route. I tend to be a little bit more of a mood reader, but sometimes, again, I get overwhelmed trying to pick what I want to read next. So I thought this would be something fun to try. And then you can watch back in March to see what I thought of all of these books in my February wrap-up. Thanks, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.